All right, we're going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time. Welcome to everybody who is with us via Zoom. Thank you to everybody who's here in person. This is an official meeting of the Board of Ed, so we are going to follow a Board of Ed agenda. If you have not already done so, there's two handouts on the music stand. You can grab one of those, both of which are also available on our school website, fischool.com, for anybody that's following along at home. So with that, it is currently 5:32. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Ed to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As with all of our Board of Ed meetings, there's two opportunities for public participation, one at the start of the meeting on anything that's on the agenda. In this case, it'd be the land hearing for both sites, Lincoln Drive and Reservoir Road. And then again, at the end of the meeting, you have the ability to speak now. However, I would strongly encourage you to first listen to the presentation that we put together. And then at the end, you'll have time to ask any questions of myself or the Board of Ed. We also have on the Zoom, one of our legal experts in the field of land sale, Kevin Overton, who specializes in schools and them selling land. He's one of the partners at our legal firm Harris Beach. So Kevin is also available if there are any technical questions. What I always say is, if we don't have the answer, we're not going to make it up. We're going to get it for you. That goes for anybody that's here, anybody that's online. So with that, I'll ask if there's any public participation at the top. All right. This is my 6th school year here at Fishers Island School. My 14th, I believe, in public education. Every time I've started a meeting, I've started with pictures or discussion of our students. They are the anchor that drives every decision we make here. Other island organizations have their own anchor. This is ours. These people are ours. The only skin in the game that I have is make sure that their experience here is the very best that it should be. So when I speak today, it means a lot to me because they mean a lot to me. I ask that when we have this conversation, we model for those kids that we can disagree. We can have different opinions. We can be in opposition of this topic, but we do so respectfully because we have to model that for the kids that go to school here every day. That's a lesson I think we teach enough. I think that's a lesson that needs to be taught more. And I think oftentimes when things become personal, it's easy to be on one side or the other. Literally, you know which side I'm on, right? And I don't disrespect anybody for being on the other side, because I'm grateful to every single person that's here that supports our school 365 days. To run this school is not easy in terms of the costs associated, in terms of the logistics involved, in terms of the budget we have to ask for every year to make it happen. But we do so because of the kids that are in this picture. And this is not a pulling at the heartstrings thing. This is to acknowledge the fact that there are some people, and they have very valid reasons, that either oppose the sale of Winthrop Drive or Reservoir Road, and you have from the start. And this is not about changing your mind. I'm not going to think I'm going to turn people over to different sides. I'm not advocating in this presentation for one side or the other. This presentation is about actual fact. This presentation is about what we've been working on since I've been here before, to take these 2 parcels of land that were donated to us a long time ago and do something with that to further the school and to further the kids that go to the school. So I will sit here as long as I need to give you every answer that I have. We'll use our resources to make sure if I don't have an answer, we'll get you one. But I do not want anybody going to vote next week thinking things that are true that aren't. And if you vote the other way, that is your right. That's why we do it this way. I still deeply, deeply have gratitude for everybody in this room and everybody who's online, because you helped make this school go. I want to thank our Board of Ed, some of which have just started with us, some of which have been here for a longer time. I'm going to run you through two timelines of these projects. One of them goes back to 2002. This is something that has been deeply discussed, openly, transparently. This is not something that I dreamt up. This is not something anybody here dreamt up. This is something that we just know is in the best interest of our kids and ultimately our lives. So, start off top, the facts. Where do you vote? How do you vote? The vote is scheduled for Tuesday, November 8th at the community center. We had the choice and made the choice to put it on the same day as the general election to encourage as many voters as we could. We made that choice on purpose. We did not want anybody to say we picked a different day, because we want as many eligible voters to vote, because that gives us a mandate to do this, and we hope it comes out. It is important to note that for school-wide elections, like the one we do in the for the board in May and the budget, it is from 2 to 8 p.m. The general election that happens at the same site is from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We are a shorter time frame. This is not done to stop anybody from voting. It's done because we have to send school personnel down, and we're running a school that day. We're open. Again, these are the people that matter. November 8th is a school day. That's the most important thing. So if you cannot vote from 2 to 8, you can absentee ballot. And those are available up until the day before the vote. We'll talk about those. It'll be held in a separate location from the general election. Same first floor will likely be in the cafe area, but you can vote for both at the same time. But please know, these referendum ballots that we're proposing are not on the general election ballot. They're two separate ballots. And we will make sure that's known when you're there as well. There's two propositions, as I said. The first has to do with Reservoir Road. I'm not going to read it to you. These are available on our website. They're available in the newsletter we put out every mailbox. First is Reservoir Road, and the second is Winthrop Drive. As I said, these are two projects that sort of had separate streams, and they both just came together on this day. We're able to do both referendums so within the actual time. Voting information. I've gotten this question a lot, so again, facts. The Fishers Island Union Free School District holds annual budget and election votes and all the other necessary votes in accordance with the New York State law. We are not trying to disenfranchise everybody. We have to go by the Suffolk County Board of Elections. They give us the list for people who are registered to vote here on Fishers Island. Those people that are allowed to vote. The only exception is if you're not on that list, some mistake at the Board of Elections, not here at school, you can show your Fishers Island driver's license as long as you've been here for at least 30 days. That is not a list that we come up with internally. We have to get it from Suffolk. People have asked me how come everybody that owns a house here on Fishers Island can't vote. It's New York State law. For the same reason you can't vote for president in two places, you cannot vote for school board elections and issues like these in two places. Those are the facts. Should it be different? Could it be different? I'm not that person. But we are doing it in accordance with state law. As I said, proof of residency is either your name appears on the rolls, you have a driver's license, or a non-driver ID with the Fishers Island. Absentee ballots. You have two ways to get absentee ballots. In person is much easier. You come and you talk to our district clerk, Allie Horn, who works in the main office. She's here every single day from 8 to 3:30. And you can fill out both the application to get the ballot and get the ballot and fill that out right at the same time if you want. She can verify that you're eligible, do all that, and you can be out in 5 minutes. If you need it mailed, you can still mail it to you. The guidelines say that we should not accept them for 15 days before the vote. Those are written for large districts that might be sending out 3,000 absentee ballots. We're sending out 8. We can send them to you. And if we send it to you by mail, you have until 7 days after the vote for it to get to us, as long as it's postmarked the day of the vote. Therefore, I've been asked by the ICB, I've been asked by community members, the day after the vote, will I have an official vote? I may not. Because if there's more applications out there than the margin, we have to wait 7 days for the absentee ballots to come in. So if we know there's only 10 absentee ballots out, and the margin either way is 35, we can announce that as official. If it's within the margin, we'll say, we'll give you the total, but it'll be unofficial until 7 days later. Please, we are trying to get everybody the ability to vote who wants to. We have asked, people have already asked for absentee ballots for people who are not eligible. We will let you fill one out, but it will not count. We have to go off of. So those are the rules we're going by. If you have any questions in that, talk to our district clerk, Ali Horn, obviously talk to me. We are available for any questions, but please vote. So we'll get into the 2 properties. First is Winthrop Drive. I have a timeline in a minute. As I said, with the discussions on Winthrop Drive, there's documentation to say that it goes back to 2002. Might have gone further than that, but that's where we have documentation back to, so I'll go through that. After extensive discussion, open dialogue, and open meetings, public sessions, the Board of Ed is asking voters whether they approve the sale of Winthrop Drive or Walsh Park for $410,000 for the parcel. The district to this day has received no other offers for this parcel. Some background: when a school owns a piece of land, they can only sell it or use it for educational purpose. What does that mean? We can build a classroom space. We're not putting a classroom space half a mile down the road from the school. We can build maybe something like faculty housing if we were to prove that that has an educational purpose. A little iffy there. We've had it go both ways with opinions, but we don't need that. We have 8 units. Therefore, we cannot do anything with this land. It's sitting there, it has been sitting there. There's no record that the school has ever used this. So therefore, the board has declared it excess and is able to sell. It is a board of ed to help as much as we can enhance and improve affordable housing on Fishers Island. I've been here for 6 years. I sit on multiple boards. I go to multiple meetings. Every single one of them, the topic is how do we increase the year-round population? How do we provide more housing? It matters for no one more than us more. Because more houses equals more kids, which equals a better school. I'm asked every single year at the start of the year, how many kids are in the school? How many live in Connecticut? How many live in Fishers Island? That is the first question I'm asked. And I answered every single time. We feel that this project will allow us to lower taxes and be a solution for that problem. Partial solution. There's no more prioritized goal than increasing the year-round population and school-age population for the people of our board and of our staff. We are in the business of kids. If we have the ability to get more kids, we're going to do it. I'm going to not make that any less clear. This is our priority. Every single meeting I've gone to in this island says it's their priority. That's why the board is pushing for this. We have signed a letter of intent with Walsh Park. We've had it in place since 2018. Why did we do that? One reason is because we've had ongoing conversations with this organization since 2002, talking 4, 5 superintendents. 2002, this is not a new concept. This is not a new thing. We've been having these conversations. And we've been having these conversations because Walsh Park houses 25% of our year-round population, 33% of the students that go to the school that live on the island, and 58% of our emergency services folks. This school would not be here in the way that it is without this organization. So if anybody were to question, why would we partner? Why wouldn't we? This is what matters to us. This is our goal. This is what we do. This is what we elected the Board of Ed to do, and they've hired me to address these things. That's why we're signed the letter of intent. A little bit of a timeline. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we have documentation that says back to July of 2002. Welsh Park had approached the board and the superintendent at the time about potentially selling or leasing the land to increase year-round housing. Welsh Park proposed buying or leasing and building several units on the land to be managed by Welsh Park if the agreement was a lease. The acting superintendent in 2006 received guidance from the school attorney, which was our previous school attorney, indicating that the legal guidelines around leasing, selling school property, it indicated back then that they need not require fair market value, and it's determined that the school district will reap a greater benefit by leasing or selling the property on other terms. Guidance highlighted that upon such terms and conditions as the Board of Education may deem appropriate to a party of the Board of Ed who they determined will provide the most benefit to the school district. Very similar to where we are. We are now a separate attorney later, multiple superintendent later, different people on the board, and we're receiving the same guidance today. 2009, there was documentation of ongoing conversations even with the town of Southold in the school, talking things like zoning, parcels, how many units, getting information about potential doing this. For whatever reason, it went dark for a while. The conversation stopped, picked up in 2017 with our previous superintendent, Karen Goodwin. And Welsh Park was invited to a board meeting, public board meeting of the Board of Education, where they shared a draft proposal of what they want to do with the land if we can come to terms. That proposal is very similar to the one that they have. 2017, the board requested appraisals of the land and continued discussions with Welsh Park. The board then passed a resolution claiming that the land was excess, it was not needed. And in March of 2018, we signed the first non-binding letter of intent with Welsh Park. What does the non-binding letter of intent mean? It means Welsh Park, knowing that they had to put up resources and time and money to get the land zoned the way that they have it to build the houses, knew that they were going to be investing a significant amount of money. They want to make sure that the Board of Ed was not at the same time actively selling the land out to near them. However, the agreement, which is a public agreement and was approved in public session, says that we can still accept a bid. We would just be required to tell Welsh Park about it. The only thing that we signed at the time is that we wouldn't actively market the land. And we signed that in 2008. We've re-upped it every year since, the content of which has not changed, just the date because it's sunsetted every year on us. And obviously COVID put a halt to most things. So that's why we're here now, 4 years ago. December of 2020, Fishers Island School successfully passed our capital improvement project referendum for the renovation of the school. Is an $8 million project. I'll talk about it at the end, but I want everybody to hear a fact, which is $8 million is the ceiling. We did this in a situation where it was lower interest rates, lower costs that was factored in. Our board has approved $1.7 million worth of ad alternates that will come off the top of the project if the numbers go higher than $8 million. Taxpayers will not be on the hook for more than $8 million. $7 million bond, $1 million that we already have in capital. What we do with Welsh Park or Reservoir Road or Winthrop Drive, yes, it has an impact on our capital project because we want to go ahead and take some money off the top to reduce the burden on the taxpayers. But the project is happening in the budget. And the project will not skyrocket and triple and double in cost if it is set up to not be able to do. Reservoir Road, Fishers Island School District, through our school attorney, accepted bids up until November 1st, which was yesterday at 5 p.m. They were all sent directly to our school attorney, Douglas Gerhart, not to me, so that I do not have the complete knowledge of all those bids and therefore not potentially influence or have any conversations with anybody about it. The bids will be shared with the Board of Education, and the Board of Education will be charged with the final determination of the best offer. We will only do so if the referendum passes next week. If the referendum doesn't pass, then we don't go take that next step. But if it does pass, if it's a successful referendum, on November 16th, our school attorney will come with a list of bidders, and he will help the Board of Ed determine the best offer. Which in this case, there's no other inherent value like Walsh Park has. Having more kids go to school has a value to us. There's no inherent value in Reservoir Road. So it's, essentially going to be the highest offer. But we will only take that step if allowed. If we are allowed to take that step, we will again take the proceeds from that sale, all of which we've tried to maximize because we did not hire a realtor. We did it all of ourselves, marketed ourselves. We've toured it ourselves. So we are trying to save the taxpayer every single piece of their, money they have there. We will share on November 16th the successful bidder and what the price is. And then we'll enter into contract with them, and that'll be that. Timeline's a little shorter, but still fairly detailed. March 2017, at the same time they were considering really becoming serious about Drive. That was the first conversation about Reservoir Road. At the same time, the board in April through October 2017 got 2 appraisals done, one for Winthrop Drive, one for Reservoir Road. The board determined that Winthrop Drive should be excess and should be up for potential sale. It was determined at that time in 2017 that taking on both pieces of land sale for our small front office staff was going to be too much at that time. So we essentially took a pass on Reservoir Road and kicked the can down the road on that and went further with Walsh Park and in 2019, I had taken over as superintendent by then. The board rediscussed the potential sale of Reservoir Road and authorized me to investigate the application for the town of Southold for the Peconic Bay Trust Fund. I had a conversation with the managers of this fund and others in Southold. And at that time, I was told point blank no, that they were not interested in using those funds to buy this land. Some of the reasons were the land was too small. Obviously, it was going to be more expensive than most of the land that they sell through their fund. I countered with, well, this is Fisher Diamond. We're not going to have large pieces of land like they do. And we've heard the Peconic Bay Trust flows. But at that time, it was a no-go. And at that point, the board decided to put it on the market and sell it. In August of 2020, when we were just getting that ball rolling, we had multiple community members before we marketed it reach out to it for varying reasons, interested in purchasing. So at that point, we told them it was going to be marketed soon and that they put it on. August of 2020, the board decided it was the best interest of the district to sell and consider excess land on Reservoir Road. Again, for the same reason, we're not going to have any kind of educational purpose on a spot that's on a cliff and that far away from it. The board received 2 more appraisals on this land specifically from 2 different companies. So we received those appraisals. We transparently put the appraisals and the appraised price in the flyer that we made public when we said the land is for sale. The $925,000 appraisal value has been made open, public. The full appraisals have been shared in our board meetings and with anybody who's asked for it. In February 2022, the board passed the resolution to claim it as excess. And then in April 2022, the board approved the posting for the land be sold. And those bids stopped on November 1st, which was yesterday. The project, as I said, it's an $8 million project. We are entirely grateful to the community for passing this when they did a couple years ago through referendum. It's been suggested that this project could cost a lot more than the $7 million bond and the $1 million that we have in capital expenditures. That is untrue. As I said, there's 1.7 of parts of the project that will be taken off the top if things like the interest rates go higher, if cost of construction labor goes higher. That was put in proactively to make sure that that wasn't something we were doing to the taxpayers. We can't legally take more money. If we had to, we have to go back out to vote. And then the taxpayers would have to decide. So with that, that's all I have. I hope you've gotten some questions answered that you had. As I said, this is not about changing anybody's mind. There are people that were against one, if not both of these projects from the beginning, and I respect that and I get it. And so grateful to you for your support of the school. I remind you, we're in the business of kids. That's why we're up here doing this. And I will remind the island that I say this a lot. If we're serious about sustainability and we're serious about growing the population of this place that we all very much love, if the school is not at the center of this, we are missing the boat. No one is going to move to this island if the school isn't a good match for their kids. I'd be the first to put my hand up and say that's true about me and my family. If this school wasn't what it is for my kids, we wouldn't be here. If I didn't have a house to live, I couldn't be here. We can talk about year-round housing and fixing problems. We put together a solution that will both lower your taxes and increase year-round population. We feel it addresses a lot of things we constantly talk about a lot. So with that, I'll open up to any questions. I'm going to start with folks here in person. For those online, I will repeat the question, make sure everybody hears it. And then if you are online, you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself at the end. I'll give you an alert when to do that. Questions for those in person? So would you mind just maybe standing next to it so I can?
Well, it's just very quick.
Oh, please.
The price was stated at $435 for a long time.
410. I don't know where the 435 came from.
Didn't you?
I told you at the last hearing, I thought 435. I didn't want to be quoted because I didn't have it off the top of my head. It's 410. April. Look at April since then. Go ahead.
I heard that this is probably a rumor, but I heard that Conic Bay came back to the school to offer to buy the reservoir.
I don't have access to the final bids. They were interested afterwards. We did have conversations with them. They became interested again. Question was Peconic Bay interested afterwards? I said I do not have the final bids, but they were interested again. We had ongoing conversations once we did put it for sale.
Christian, you described, well, the phrase was the board's decision was for the benefit of the district. And actually, isn't the legal phrase for the financial benefit of the district? And I guess I should be asking you to turn that way.
Which decision?
Sorry.
Which decision?
Decision to sell a watch park.
So the question is it just financial or overall best decision?
Right. It is the duty of the board of financial.
Kevin, go ahead.
The duty of the board is to make a determination that's in the best overall interest of the district. It is not limited specifically to financials, but it is what is in the best interest of the district as a whole. Certainly, financials can come into or play a large part in that, but to the extent that there is one offer that is merely $1 more, that doesn't mean that the district has to go with the highest price possible. There are other considerations that the board is allowed to take into consideration when they're making the determination, but the legal standard is the best interest of the district.
Open it to anybody online, either through the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. For those who came in late, this is Kevin Overton, who is our attorney.
Hey, my name's Meredith Dorian. I just wanted to say one thing real quick. I was on the school board like 15 years ago, and we looked into some of this, and we really wanted, particularly with Reservoir Road, we're looking into selling it. And we didn't have the will of the board at the time. And I just want to say thank you to this board for having some progressive thought on this, for going ahead and looking down the line. Sorry if the Cutlers don't agree, cutting in, but I just want to say thank you to the board. I think you're being very thoughtful, and I love what Kevin just said, because we're a district of human beings. And yes, we all have checkbooks and budgets and things to think about, but we're human beings living together in a community. And I appreciate a district that looks at us like that. I think that all of them do. I think district is concerned with our homes and our safeties, not just our budgets. I think the waste management has to figure out how to get the trash off. I appreciate it, but we're humans living together. And it's much better when we live together in a community full of people. It's a little dark and lonely out here sometimes. And I appreciate the board being very thoughtful about this. And to me, it sounds like it was really well thought out. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Anybody else online?
Hey, Christian?
Yes,
Yeah, Christian Hayes, Stuart Cutler.
go ahead, Stuart.
Can you? Okay, thank you. I apologize that you don't have a picture of other than my blank office. I'd just like to make a comment from the neighborhood, if I could.
Yep.
And I think it's important to be clear that, the Fort Wright neighborhood, which assembled as an organization in trying to make sure that we have a view or provide comments on the project as efficiently as possible, is very supportive of the school. We're very supportive of enhancing the year-round population and addressing the issue of affordable housing on the island. These are all very important topics, and again, we appreciate how much thought and contribution you all are making. We are, however, as a neighborhood, somewhat anxious about the specifics of the development project. And the one area that I think we have specific concern about, or two areas, one is density, i.e. we have a very oddly shaped piece of property and a lot of homes that are consolidated into that relatively small piece of land. The closeness of the houses is not really in keeping with the neighborhood, and we are trying to build a neighborhood within a neighborhood. I think the project is a worthy project, but we are most concerned that it be a project that the final plan is very consistent with the nature of the neighborhood. And I would mention that the school has a very vested interest in this neighborhood, as not only are you members of this neighborhood, but many school employees are neighbors, including yourself, who enjoy the benefits of this community. I guess the other point that we would like to raise is that to date, plans which have been presented do not, although we recognize they're in preliminary form, are pretty far advanced. And a vote for this project is a vote to approve the development plan. Engineering studies, safety studies, and cost studies have not been specifically presented. It's very much based on the idea that Walsh Park will be able to generate the necessary funds to complete the project, including development or enhancement of the utility situation. But in any event, if a sale is approved, which I guess going to happen tomorrow, we do think it's very important that the school support that Fort Wright neighborhood and Walsh Park are in regular communication with respect to the specifics of the project development as we go forward.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. Anybody else? Yep. So I guess I'll end by obviously thanking everybody who's here in person and who came online. Thank you to everybody who's watching this recording later. It will be made available both on fishersisland.net and our school website. Going back to what I said at the top, strongly encourage everybody, whatever side you fall on this, to please vote next Tuesday from 2 to 8 p.m. If you have any questions on this project or any questions about the process, please come see me, talk to one of our board members, talk to Jim Egan, our business manager. We've been talking about these projects since I've been here in open session meetings every single month. It's been a standing agenda on our agenda since 2017. Please, we want you to come to our meetings. We want input. This is about being transparent. This is about giving facts. This is about doing whatever we can to work together, work with the other island organizations to make this place where we all want it to be and to grow it. We're taking this on and took on many hours of investment of resources and our time to make this happen because we believe in it. And in the end, we think voting yes on these two things is going to help our school, going to help our kids, going to reduce tax burden on the community, and hopefully get a lot more people live here. So with that, I want to thank everybody, and please, my office door is always open if you have any questions.
Actually, no,
Oh, one more.
can I?
Spurt it on.
I was
Go ahead,
responding to the couple. So Alex Milton, mother of Casey and Lucas, who are students of the school here a year ago. And if anybody's doubting about the process by which Walsh Park is going to be moving on and doing architectural studies, I would just invite you to consider the fact that perhaps Walsh Park hasn't done any of those plans because none of it is approved yet. And I, as a nonprofit would not, or for-profit or charitable organization, would not venture to spend hours and time of consultations to have all of these studies done before even the property is sold, number one. And in terms of the neighborhood character, I was present at that last meeting and that really just irks me because all of the houses on the parade grounds look alike. And I don't see anybody complaining about those houses looking alike. Number two, my understanding is that there was a hospital on that area. So a hospital with 12 houses. And so I don't understand why would there be an issue with plumbing or sewer issues if there was a hospital. By the way, Patty was born in that hospital.
Still wasn't there though.
But it was close by.
It's
So
not
what I'm,
super,
right, and so what I'm saying is the organization hasn't had an opportunity to even do these studies. And I think it's a front that Mr. Cutler designed himself to be the president of this association, where I've been on that email and I've kindly asked him to remove me from that subscription because just because he emailed me does not mean I support that. And he's been emailing everybody else in that neighborhood.
I would also though ask that any concerns about Walsh Park, any concerns that you have in the design, you bring to their meetings, because I'm not going to be able to give you an answer. I don't want to leave you hanging on an answer.
Right, so I'm just saying, if people have questions about the process,
Right.
I respect that,
Yep.
and I'm just,
Yep.
I wanted to
I
clarify
appreciate
some information, and I appreciate you saying that. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So with that, thank you all again. I hope you have a nice night. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.